Hello YouTube, my name's Joe. Welcome to this boil number 2 of 2024 maple syrup season. And so today is Monday, President's Day. Sometimes I feel like I need to do some kind of show, some kind of intro with the drone coming in and doing all this stuff. And I'm just gonna talk to you guys, tell you a little story. We'll watch the cooker. Really, I would love to do a live, but I'm guessing at 2:15 on a Monday, not too many people will be watching. So anyhow, let's get going. Boil number 1 was about 95 gallons of sap. I was able to RO that down quite a bit. I don't really remember what it got to, but that gave us about 2.5 gallons on the first boil. This one we collected on Thursday. Today's Monday, so late Thursday night, I wanted to make sure that the wind didn't blow all the buckets all around. Wind died down to around 10, 11 miles an hour. We collected 85 gallons, a pretty low percentage, 1.8 to 2%. And knowing that we were going to get cold. On Saturday, it was going to get super cold, low 20s. And so I RO'd those 85 gallons pretty much all day Friday. I've already talked about my RO. I have my reverse osmosis in a bucket. I have 2 400 gallon per day membranes in a series. In about 10 to 12 hours time, it processed those 85 gallons and removed 56 gallons of water. It was cold though. That sap was 35 degrees, but that RO worked like a beast. I did a video of it last week. And basically I had to keep the flow going really, really high. And so it wasn't pulling the water off as quick, but it did the job. Saturday, 20 degrees. Sunday didn't really recover much. We saw a peak of about 33 degrees. The sun popped out for a while. But nothing really thawed. Maybe the edges of the woods a little bit. Last night dipped down to 20, and this sap, even at 7%, there's 29 gallons of it at 7%. It was like a popsicle. It was very thick, slushy, ice crystals everywhere. So I've been at this for, I don't know, 3 hours or so, and we're getting to the end. I'll bring it a little closer. We're getting to the end. Everything is either in the flat pan or in this warming steam pan. And so, like I said, 7% boils pretty fast. When you have that high a percentage, it wants to foam pretty quick. Usually I just put a little sliver of butter in there. They do sell anti-foaming I think it's just oil though, quite honestly. And so that helps out quite a bit. So this morning, like I said, it was 20 degrees. Kids had to go to school. I still woke up at the same time, loaded the wood stove, made a little coffee, and sat down. And man, there was the latest video. YouTube kind of prompts you, right? And sure enough, Chris from the Jack Homestead had a video. I love to watch Chris. Chris just shares. He just shares. He's not worried about impressing. And man, he's the kind of neighbor I think I would like. And he just put this really nice, thank you shout out to me. And I don't feel like I deserve any of that stuff. When I first started making YouTube videos about maple syrup, there wasn't too many of us. I'm delighted that there are so many. And Chris has come on the scene, and he just keeps putting those videos out, sharing his technique. And believe it or not, Chris, you are inspiring people. Mostly just to get out there and do it, to build that shed, to build that cooker, just to do it because you can. I was telling my students the other day that there's a lot of things that I can't do. Like I can't make grass grow. I can't take my finger and like weld metal together. I could use a welder, but I can make syrup. I can't make the wood catch on fire, but there's a lot of things that I just trust the system and trust the machines. And here I have my hands on it. I collect the sap from my own trees. Yes, I use that reverse osmosis, but that all happens in that barn there. And then I have the pleasure of boiling it on this stove and using wood that I cut and I split, and it doesn't get much better than that. So was able to go last week, maybe week and a half ago. I was able to go to one of my neighbors, and he's got a big cooker. He can remove about 30 gallons of water an hour. That's fast, guys. That's super fast. Built a really nice building, and this kind of his hobby has progressed to where he's got a lot of automation. And he doesn't RO. He said this year they have 237 taps right now. And he just carries the buckets out, tries to get the truck as close as he can. Has a little half a barrel on the back of the truck, and so he could dump the sap in, turn the pump on, it pumps into the tank. They pump it into their big holding tank. Gravity feeds down. He's got floats, and he just sits there, has the pallet of firewood. You roll over in his office chair, feed the stove. I mean, if you guys have ever seen this, it's quite the show. It looks like fun. Thinking about my progress, you could see the kids got their junk pile over there. Swing set. You could see an old truck cap that I got up on pallets. That is where I'd love to have my sugar shack someday. Right now, I'm a victim to the weather. Yes, I have the barn, but I'm a victim to the weather. Someday I would like to have a sugar house. But I have a real hard time having a dedicated building to really only do something for, 4 to 6 weeks. And so I'm not sure if I win, right? Someday. I was thinking about my progress, and I remember my very, very first year, found a drawing of a spile, and I made them out of wood. Drilled a 1/4-inch hole through a piece of wood, took it to the belt sander, took milk jugs, bungeed a few of those milk jugs around trees, and I started out with 7 taps. And I'd get home from work, and I'd go out and I'd collect them, and I had a 5-gallon pail. And then I went and bought 2 more 5-gallon pails. And I could remember boiling down 10 gallons of sap. Soft maple too, it was, right? On a turkey fryer for hours. Hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. So much propane. And it just seemed like it was just forever. And then we started looking for land. That was at our old place. We had about 2.5 acres, give or take. We started looking for land. And we looked at one abandoned farm. We looked at another abandoned farm. We looked at a place that was just a house in the middle of the field. They didn't have no trees. I liked the house, but I really wanted some woods. I wanted to heat with wood. I wanted to make syrup. And really, I didn't know what I was doing. We came and looked at this old abandoned farm. They had trees. They had maple trees everywhere. Funny thing was, I couldn't tell the difference between a hard maple and a soft maple. Almost 14 years ago, I learned, right? I progressed. I went out and bought some metal spiles, bought some buckets, started hanging. Our first year here, we boiled was spring of 2011, and I had 13 taps out that year. And that season lasted 6 weeks, and we made 6.5 gallons of syrup. And this cooker here was down on the ground, and my back hurt so bad. But man, we made syrup that year. Pretty much the same story the next year. I think the year after that, one of our young kids was being born, and so I didn't make syrup that year. And ever since then, we have progressed. cooker got up in the air. So we progressed. I was talking to one of my local, call him friend. We'll call him a friend. And he has a love for syrup. He's a farmer. In fact, they have a cooker, and they've usually gone through 30,000 gallons of sap a year. They'd be the local place where you'd bring sap to, and they divvy it all out. And I said, do I go with a bigger pan? And at that time we were about 24, 25 taps. Do I go with a bigger pan, or do I look to an RO? He's like, man, the RO is the way to go. And so I started searching the Craigslist. And sure enough, searching the Craigslist, I found one. And it said that it could do 100 gallons per day. And I didn't know what that really meant. And now I understand that 400 gallons per day doesn't mean that you're processing 400 gallons of sap a day. These are water ratings. These are not sap ratings. But nonetheless, I went. It had an Aquatech pump. It was the smaller 8800 Aquatech pump. I didn't know anything. And I got that, and I brought it home and reconfigured a little bit of it because it was just set up for aquariums. I'm sorry if I'm rambling, but that's what you get today. And it was set up for aquariums, and man, it processed maybe 2 gallons, 3 gallons an hour. It wasn't fast, but man, I figured it out. I would zip tie the hoses to the bottom of piece of PVC pipe, jammed them to the bottom of the barrels, and it ran. And then I bought better membranes. Then I bought another membrane, and I ran that 3-membrane system for a long time. And what I figured out was now I can double my taps. And so we've been hanging out in that 50 tap range for a long time. And one year I tried to step it up to about 60 taps, and with kids' activities, it was just too much. And so what is progress, right? I think sometimes progress is also being content, to find joy in what we're doing. I'm looking at the weather, and Tuesday looks like we're going to get swamped. It's supposed to be 27, 28 in the morning. It's supposed to be 47 at like 3 or 4 o'clock. Those buckets will fill up, which means Wednesday or Thursday is going to be a super late night. Is that progress? Do I need more of an RO? Do I need more of a pan? Or do I just do what I can do? And sometimes personal progress is as good as syrup progress. Oh man, these bubbles are starting to tighten up. And so you guys can't see anything. All this is a bunch of steam, but the bubbles are starting to tighten up. You can run a thermometer in this, but when those bubbles are starting to tighten up, man, it's getting closer and closer and closer to the end. You can still see my warming pan has a couple gallons left in it. We are getting close, and this will probably be, like I said, 2 gallons or so. It's 29 gallons at 7%, and so of course that was measured. Of course that was measured at 35 degrees, and I believe my hydrometer is rated for 38 degrees. So what that does, I don't really know. I don't know what the adjustment factor is. But anyhow, progress. I see a guy like Chris, and he has family history making syrup. First generation, right? I'm hoping my kids will be second generation. Will they progress to more? Will they progress to bigger? Could a person turn it into a business? Yeah. On my piece of property here, I have no doubt that we can handle 300 taps. That's a lot of wood. That's a lot of time. You're not doing 300 taps on a barrel stove. I don't think you can do 300 taps on a dozen barrel stoves. Is that progress? I don't really know. So a guy like Chris, he's got that kind of in his bloodstream. I look at a guy like I believe with Brian, and Brian was on YouTube for a long time, and he cooked on a fuel oil drum on a lean-to of a garage, and then he built a beautiful sugar shack log cabin, and he just said, you know what, I'm done YouTubing. I'm doing this for me. Bought himself a real nice cooker, has built up a really nice system. I think they do about 100 taps, and they just boil for them. And I think that's pretty great. I think that is progress. That's a family tradition, and my big goal for progress is to not stress out. I'm very inclined to stress out over silly little things like that. Looking at the screen, I'm thinking, oh, better keep an eye on that. And so don't stress out. Make it fun, because I tell you, if I stress out, I think that my kids, they're not going to want to do this. This will not be their progress, right? They're going to say, Dad, that maple syrup business is a stressful thing. It tastes good, but it's a stressful thing. I don't want to do that. And so I need to have a good attitude about that. And I think that's the best progress that I can have. So when I started talking on the screen, I had an idea of what I was going to do. And needless to say, I'm far from that, but that's okay, because it's my YouTube page. It's my YouTube channel. And honestly, I'm reading it. It says 21 minutes right now. And I'm guessing that the average person's not going to make it past 4 minutes. They're going to say, oh, this guy's not teaching today. I'm moving on. And so anyhow, we're getting towards the end. Every time I look at this cooker, I start seeing more and more holes in the front. It's getting pretty beat up. I'm probably going to have to redo something sometime. I just keep thinking, maybe I'll get another year. Maybe I'll get another year. Maybe I'll get another year. At any rate. Bowl number 2, I'm guessing we're going to have about 2 gallons. And then, like I said, it's going to be probably Tuesday and Wednesday. I might have to get up super early Wednesday morning, do a second collection. And we'll see. Thursday may be a late night. But, man, I'm guessing that's what it is, right? It is what it is. So anyhow, I'm Joe. Thanks for hanging in there with me so long, and thanks for your support. And I think we're going to title this one Sweet Progress, right? And so have a great day, guys. Happy sugaring, and